Probably the most important question of all, how do you remain so sexy?
All right, Ron Lummus here. Hey, you guys had some questions. I want to do my best to answer the questions that you asked. We filtered some of them out, and some of them are pretty tame. Some of them I really don't know much about. I know a little bit, but I'm not going to answer on things I don't know enough about. Anyways, so Sam, my son, is going to do his best, because in a Q&A, he's going to ask your questions for you, and then I'm going to do my best to answer them. So I'll try to direct my answers to you, and he's going to ask me the questions. So we'll try to see how this works. We're trying to figure out a format that is jiving for everybody, and we have a whole studio set up in there, but only it's not set up yet. So we just opted to do it out in the shop a little more organically. So hopefully you guys have some fun with this. We're going to have fun. And with that, Sam's going to hit off with the first question. All right, hit it, Sam.
All right, the first question from As-is72. On a Type 3, if I want the Type 1 conversion done, do I bring in the whole car or just the rolling pan?
Okay, well, I've done both. And having the whole car, those Type 3 bodies are pretty heavy, and I really don't need it. So to be honest with you, if you were going to make the trip up to see me and you had all the parts, which you would have to discuss first, I would need, if you're going to buy the beam from me, those I have. I think I even have a kingpin bulkhead that I could graft back in. I've done this a number of times already. So I'm thinking I would just need the floor pan. And yeah, I could do it because I have a bulkhead here and then I have the beams here. So we can do on all of the notchbacks that I've done, we've done like 4-inch narrowed, typically is what you do. And with drop spindles, the car ends up with a really cool stance. And yeah, it's a good question. Type 3 beams, not very cool. So yeah, doing that Type 1 conversion on the Type 3 pan, that's a rocking deal. But yeah, you just basically bring me the pan. So good question. Awesome. Next question.
From TDC Shop. Can you explain what the difference between a PWM controlled fuel pump and a standard fuel pump is? The pumps themselves, what makes them valid or invalid for PWM control?
Yeah, well, another good question. And those are those are more modern parts that haven't really made their way so much into Volkswagens, because a Volkswagen's an analog deal, but PWM means pulse width modulation. And a lot of the modern cars with ECUs and things like that, they can pulse width modulate the speed of the motor in the fuel pump. That way you're not having like a deadhead, like an old school, where it's just an old school electric fuel pump, and then you have the carburetors and the pump is pumping straight to the regulator, straight to the carburetors. That's basically like a deadhead old school deal, which we ran for years. They worked great. And then they started figuring out that if they ran a return system, like a return regulator, so same thing, fuel pump, regulator, but a return line going back to the pump, or in a Volkswagen back forward to the pump, either way, that sufficed for a while. And now the fuel injection is becoming more popular. Pulse width modulation is one of those things where you're not running the fuel pump all the time. So it just basically is a variable speed modulator. I say modulator, it's a you're going to need two things when you do this for a Volkswagen, because the amps go up whenever you try to turn it down. So you have to have a controller to run that system. So while I think it's a worthwhile deal, in some regards, if you have fuel injection, I think to put a standalone unit on it would be, I wouldn't do it on my car. Reason why is because the cars are analog, and adding something on there that's a digital that needs a clean voltage signal, it's probably a little bit, beyond what I think would be a smart idea for at least our daily driver cars. So a return system, probably not a bad idea, because that's pretty straight up. But if you have fuel injection, so if you're going to go with some kind of an electronic fuel injection or something with a computer in it already, then I think the PWM would be a great idea. But if you're not, then yeah, I tend to steer away from things. The more things you add, the more chance there is for troubles and problems. And I think if you keep it analog, let's keep it analog. If you're going to go digital, like fuel injection, then yeah, you can open it up, tank in, pump, modulate the thing so that it's not running all the time. But then this ECU and the computer can control everything. It's different with these Volkswagens. They came 100% analog, but the wiring in them is horrible. I mean, literally, it's old school analog stuff. It's just ridiculously old, and the only replacement parts are Chinese or worse. I don't know where they're coming from anymore. But whenever you do fuel injection on one of these things, you got to take all the stock. In my opinion, you got to take all the stock wiring completely out and then rewire the whole thing. And if you're willing to do that, which is a huge thing, then of course the pulse width stuff is a no-brainer. So anyways, it's a great question. I haven't done a lot of the stuff myself. I understand it just enough to know that, yeah, if we invite this stuff into an analog environment, sometimes I think it's not going to end well. So yeah, great question. So next question.
From Waves Dogs Cars, with roller rockers, do you run lap caps or straight on stainless valves?
Well, lash caps. Maybe you did a typo there. So lash caps. Yeah, provided, I think with the roller tip, roller rockers, with the geometry on a Volkswagen, I think you should always run lash caps. Just the reason why is because you need that footprint. But you have to have the right lash caps too, and the lash caps have to fit. If you got loose lash caps and they're wobbling around, it's a recipe for disaster. But a lot of times the rocker arm has to be moved side to side to accommodate the push rod clearance. So when that happens, then you run off the edge of the valve. The lash cap just provides a bigger footprint for that wheel on the roller rocker to ride on. So a lot of times it's not the up and down movement on the lash pad or the lash cap. It is the side to side because you need to clear the push rod in the push rod tube holes in the head, because if not, it'll wiggle and cause a bunch of oil problems. So in my mind's eye, you buy the nice lash caps that'll fit, and then you move the rocker around to where it's going to clear everything. And once you do that, then of course, you're home. But I think it's a much cleaner setup. Yeah, they have a lot of nice products now. Back in the day, not so much. The lash caps were either wobbly or you had to hammer them on. And now they have a lot of nice products. So yeah, I'm a favor of running lash caps. Yeah, definitely. Good question.
With the same user, Waves Dogs Cars, would you future-wise run a PFE engine?
Petty Fooser. I've contacted him just via Petty Fooser. Brilliant guy, has some fast stuff. He and I have never met in person. I think he makes a top-notch product. Obviously, it works really, really good. I would have to have one in my hands to say whether or not I personally would use it. All I've ever seen is stuff on the internet. And again, I've reached out to him, and I guess a couple times just saying hi and hello and giving him thumbs up. But him and I have never been formally introduced. And so, yeah, I do have for Rapture Potter motor. It's one of the older Potter motors, and it's probably a good idea to have a spare. And if I was going to do a spare, I would certainly consider his stuff. But again, I would have to have it in my hands to see whether or not it would work for me. So anyways, Petty, if you're watching, no shade, but if one ends up magically in my hands, and I would probably end up using it. So anyways, yeah, good question.
From 1960 Euro VW, will your 1-inch trans raise kit work on a 60 Beetle with its 1-year only front mount? I had to do a bust nose cone and hockey stick to make a later style transaxle work in my 60, but now the engine sits lower than normal. Trying to correct.
Yeah, okay, so in that early Beetle, you have that funky front mount. Typically, when people use my parts, like my 1-inch race kits, you're eliminating all the stock mounts out of the car anyways. You're getting rid of those, and you're raising the transmission up 1 inch. So when that happens, you just need to make sure you get the transmission installed in the frame horns front to rear in the right location so that your alignment's not off, because most of those cars are swing axles. So I'm not giving the shock assign. I'm doing a simulated, I'll talk with my hands. I'm doing the simulated toe in, toe out problem. If you don't get the transmission installed front to rear right, then your axles are going to be too far back or too far forward, and then you'll have problems aligning the car. But the front mount won't be used anymore for the transmission. So there's no real problem with the mount. And yes, we've used the Type 1 bus nose cones to accommodate the shifter to get back inside the tunnel. So I hope that answers your question. If not, just private message me and we can go over the nuances of your specific setup. But in general, when you put my 1-inch race kit in, you're eliminating all the stock front mount anyways. So it's kind of a moot point. The only thing you have to do is just make sure that the transmission is in their front to rear safe, in the right location so that your alignment can end up correct. And yeah, once you do that, and then you tack the mount, always tack first. Don't just blow stuff in with a welder. Tack the mount in, and then maybe take it to the alignment shop and then have it aligned, and then finish welding the mid mount in, which is a weld-in mid mount. The rear mount of our 1-inch transmission race kit is always bolt in to the horns, raises the transmission up 1 inch, and then the mid mount is a weld-in mount, solid mount. It just keeps the engine from jumping up and down, and then lowers the center of gravity of the car. We've sold thousands of those over the years. So yeah, Good question. Like I said, if it doesn't answer your question in this session, just go ahead and private message me. No big deal. And you can send me pictures of your specific setup, and I'll go through it with you. No big deal. Glad to do it. Good question.
From 6'3 Notch, do you have any photos of your Type 3 cage installed available?
Wow. Again, notch. I love notches. You know what? I probably would have to dig up pictures of my race car stuff because there's a handful of Type 3 guys out there. I mean, there's not a lot. It's funny. There's more Carmen Ghia guys than Type 3 guys. I don't know if it's a weight thing or whatever, or the cost. But as far as the cage, it's the same exact cage kit that we would use to make the chassis. Just the legs are longer because they go down to the floor pan. So private message me, and I'll dig up some old race car photos of my notchback stuff, Type 3 fastbacks. I have some of those, and I will just send those to you. But yeah, Type 3 is my favorite. I went to NHRA Pomona with my notchback in like 93, and the tech guys didn't even know what to do because there was no trans brake, there was no computer, there was no anything. It was just my 4-speed car, and the guy walks up to me and goes, "Hey, is this a Volvo?" He thought it was a Volvo. And I said, no. I was so excited to be there. I red lit first round. Somebody, I think Bob Thompson or somebody like that snapped the photo, and I saw the flash, and I took off because it was a 5/10 tree, and I was used to pro light. So yeah, I red lit. That was my claim to fame for NHRA. But yeah, no, it's not a Volvo. It's a Type 3 notchback. So yeah, good question.
From Idaho Air Cooled Works, are you going to race Rapture at Firebird in 27?
Hopefully I'm making some 27. Yeah. So, I'm trying to get Rapture done to make some runs this year. Actually, I was trying to go to Texas versus the world. I don't know if I'll make it or not, but I had to aim for something or else I'll hit nothing. Yes, I think the track's open till October and the race in Texas is in September. So I've got another couple months basically to make it happen, and that's it. So if I make it, I make it. If I don't, yeah, you certainly will see me in 27. Yeah, so stay tuned.
From Clarky Squire Hilliard, my question is regarding choice of torsion bars you offer. How do you select the ideal size torsion bar for a car configuration? For example, drag and drive car with 2,387 cc. Are they selected on car weight or power output?
Okay, so he's asking about how do we select torsion bar size? To be honest with you, I don't use a mathematical formula. It's really just time and tested application. With an aspirated car that doesn't, like if your 2387 is an aspirated car, and it makes between 150 and 180 horsepower, we would probably go with something around a 28. If it's a turbocharged car, and a lot of guys are putting Subies in them, and I had a guy call me this morning asking about putting coilovers on the back of his notchback, and I expressed to him that coilovers wouldn't be the right application for what he's trying to do. It's sagging down in the rear, so he just wants to get it back up and have it ride correctly. So I expressed to him that we probably would recommend putting big torsion bars and then our strain shocks on there, and then he would have total control over the suspension. The car would ride firm, not stiff, but firm, and it would ride like a normal car. If you drive around and you look at all the Volkswagens that you can see that are stockish driving around everywhere, they're always sagging down in the butt. And I don't know why the Germans did that, and they made it so soft in the back. Maybe it's just after all the years, the torsion bars have sagged and lost their temper, but that's why we make torsion bars. And we're a real big advocate of running bigger torsion bars in cars. They need to be stiff because the car's inherently squat. So aspirated cars, up to 200 horsepower, like 28s. Once you step into a turbo, it goes from 28 to 30. We even make 32 millimeter torsion bars. You just need control. And when the car is all mushy in the back, there's no shock on the planet that's going to control it. The springs hold it up, which is the torsion bar, and the shocks control the springs. So they almost have to match. They have to go hand in hand. So if you have big torsion bars, you need big shocks. Small torsion bars, small shocks, which is stocky stock. But yeah, so like I said, somewhere in that weight, all the Volkswagens are pretty close, between 1,800 and 2,100 pounds. And so from 28-ish, I do put some 26s in some cars, and those are the ones that the guy really just wants it to drive super nice, but doesn't want it to sag. But I immediately step to 28 for anything that's performance, and then we go for 28 to 30 and again, like turbo cars or Subaru powered guys, 32 millimeter. So we make those too. So anyways, good question.
Next question is from Brad Hale. How long would it take to tub a 1963 Nova wagon?
Well, if I had my DeLorean still here, I could go back in time because I actually did that in 1985 for you. Nice try, Brad. My old roommate and friend from high school, he had a 63 Nova wagon, and we put a full cage in. I think we got the cage kit at the time from Chris Alston, or not. It wasn't even Chris Alston; it was just Alston's, and we put like subframes in it, we put subframes in it. We did a full cage, and then what else we did? We did wheel tubs with weld wheels and like N50s. It was pretty cool. Then he sold it. It's like, shame on you. And now you wish you had the car back. See, if you have a super trick car, the one thing you're going to do is regret that you sold it. Man, I'm going to ask you guys out there, how many of you guys are going to say in the comments, man, I really wish I had that car back still? And I mean, I had a V8 Chevy Love truck. I had Kawasaki two-stroke 750 motorcycles. I never had a CBX. I'm looking for a Honda CBX, but I don't want to pay full pop plus Barrett-Jackson price for it. Anyways, yeah, it's the car you always wish you had back that you should have never sold in the first place. So yeah, nice try, Brad. Oh, there's my alarm. Stay tuned. All right, we're back. Hit it, Sam. More questions.
Okay. From Thomas. Why did you move out of California after all of your years there? I visited you at your California location in summer of 2003.
Yeah, why did I move? I guess the more accurate question, because I've been asked that a lot, why did I move out? Why didn't I stay? I didn't stay in California because as time went on, the state was just asking more of me than I could deliver. And, the older you get and the more that you move on, you want to be kind of free and you want to kind of do your thing. And I knew that if I stayed there, it just felt like I was getting bottled in. I was paying rent, which again, I should have probably started buying the first shop I ever occupied. That would have been a much smarter move. But in California, the price of things just skyrocketed so high that I couldn't research and develop like I wanted to. I had I didn't have the freedom that I used to have to be able to do that. I had nearly 8 employees at one time, and I felt like the walls were kind of closing in on me. So I basically just started looking around, and we visited Idaho a couple times. My mother-in-law lives here, and we just decided, you know what? When we retire, this is going to be a cool place. So was it 2000? And not 2000. 2000 Y2K is when I got my last shop. And then, so let's see, 99, right around 2020. Yeah, right around that zone is when I decided to move up here. My mother-in-law lives here. Like I said, we'd already been here a bunch of times. I bought 5.5 acres. I built a shop with an apartment, and then we built a house. And so now, I mean, it's pretty cool. I have a bigger shop than I did in Southern Cal. I have freedom to be able to do things that I want to do, which means I can research and develop and make cool stuff without all the pressure. And again, it's not the same for everybody. Not everybody can do what I did, and hey, God bless them. But for me, that was why I left. I really wanted to keep doing what I was doing, and I wanted the freedom to be able to do it at my pace. And it just seemed like that was the window for me was getting smaller and narrower where I was, and I just needed to change the zip code. So I did, and I'm glad I did. It's beautiful here, and yeah, I feel free. So yeah, great question.
Next question is from Ryan Williams. Do you know where all or any of your past personal race cars are now?
Yeah, I read that when we printed this comment sheet out, and man, all of them? Wow. No, I don't know where they all ended up. I'm guessing Japan, Puerto Rico, maybe even Hawaii on some, New Zealand. Yeah, I don't know. They're everywhere. It's really funny because I was making so many cars, not just for myself. This was about my personal cars, but I made so many cars at one point. The cars I would make a car, well, like Rapture. That's from Australia. I shipped it to Australia in like 2002 or something. Now it's back here. I shipped cars down there, and some of them are back in Southern California, and it's just like musical cars. I shipped them to Aruba, and then they end up in South Carolina, then down in Southern California, and then over back on the East Coast again. So yeah, it's musical cars, man. They end up everywhere. So, but my personal cars, yeah, they're Hawaii, Puerto Rico, New Zealand. Yeah, they're in the U.S. They're literally everywhere. And some of the ones I actually drove for Garrett, I don't even know where they're. Those things are in strange places too. But yeah, Rapture is likely the last car I'll have, and as soon as I'm done with it, yeah, it's going on the block. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that ends up. Anyways, good question.
Next question is from Bren Hartman. Why did you stop racing? What prompted you to get back into it?
Hey, Bren. Thanks for all the purchases and all the technical data. Bren is a very detailed man. And he's given me back more information than like 10 other people would have given me back in regards to some of his Rev 6 tuning and stuff. So anyways, his question, why did I stop racing? Basically, I stopped fielding and racing my own cars myself because I was driving professionally for Gary. So once that happened, I had this race car that I couldn't really take out because I was busy going around the country, flying in, flying out. And so I stopped driving in my own personal car in that regard because of that, because I was getting paid to drive professionally. So, and then once that died, I didn't have a car anymore. And then that was the end of that. So then why did I get back into it? My friend from Australia, if you watch the Rapture build, you'll see the testimony from Trent. And that was me getting back into it. I didn't plan on that, but yeah, here we are. So yeah, that's why I'm back in. I didn't want to get back in, but I'm getting back in, and let's see what happens with Rapture. So good question, Brent.
All right, the next question is from Alexander Mundy. How to properly adjust clutch stop for Street 6?
Yeah, so I wish there was a better way to answer this question. The firewall in a Volkswagen is a double wall deal. And so in order to get a stop, he's asking about the clutch stop under the clutch pedal so that you have the accurate amount of clutch stop. A lot of people just take and put a piece of tube through the firewall with like a couple nuts, a jam nut, and they weld a little pad so that the bottom of the pedal will land on a threaded bolt in a pad that just keeps it, a certain distance from the firewall. Heck, if you're a super tall guy, then you can use the firewall as your stop, but and then just adjust at the wing nut in the back. But to do it properly, it's probably two. And I've thought about making one over the years, but I just never got there with all the distractions. Is basically two big washers with a piece of tubing welded in between them that you could put through the firewall, and basically have the bolt go through the firewall with two nuts or a jam nut on one side and a flat pad on the pedal, so you can basically adjust the stop of the pedal. So yeah, I mean, on all the race cars we always have pedal stops, but on a stock car it's a little bit more tough because of the dual the double thickness on the firewall, and you have to go through a hollow section. So yeah, it's not an easy thing to do it right. Yeah, maybe I'll come up with something. We'll see. Let me know if there's more of you guys that want those, instead of just making them yourself. Just let me know and I'll see what I can come up with. So good question.
The next question is from Ivad G. Staff. Have you ever had an opportunity to test any of the Petit Fuser engines from Brazil? This is kind of similar to one from earlier.
Similar question. Yeah, no, I'd love to. I reached out to Petit. I don't know that I wasn't reaching out, hey, give me your parts and I'll test them. And that's not what I was saying. But I've yet to see one. I haven't seen one at the racetrack, just on the internet. So, I'm so distracted with building Rapture right now. I don't have time to shop or look around for other parts or whatever. But I would welcome anything. But I just don't. I know there's other, like Mario's making some stuff with some people, and Patty's making stuff. There's a couple other guys. There's some guys in Europe that are making stuff. Now with CNCs and 5-axis machines, there's a lot of people making some pretty trick stuff. So it makes the stuff that I currently have, completely lame. Not lame in the bad sense, but I mean, technologically speaking, you can just see the difference between an old cast part and then brand new billet stuff. So yeah, I would welcome it. And Patty, if you're watching, private message me, and maybe we could talk a little bit or something. But he makes nice stuff. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
From Sean McCarthy, probably the most important question of all: how do you remain so sexy?
Well, let me tell you, Sean McCarthy, I've known you forever, dude. I don't know, man. Just no more fast food. Country living, I guess. I got out of there. So, since I've been here in Idaho, I've lost nearly 25 pounds. Not because I was dieting, but just because I'm not stopping at fast food 3 or 4 or 5 nights a week. What a difference. Food is medicine, and medicine is food, I guess. Mm-hmm. Nice question, Sean. Love you.
Next question is from Paavo Hapalainen. I don't know, I'm butchering that last name. I'm sorry, Paavo. Do you think nitrogen in tires is beneficial on the strip?
Nitrogen? Yeah, no, not really. I mean, I never thought about it. I mean, there might be some advantage, but I mean, I don't know, man. There's a lot of things that make it more of an advantage on a race car. I don't think nitrogen or any of that other stuff. It might be in a road race car, but for what we're doing, I don't see the big advantage. Yeah, doesn't mean you couldn't do it. I mean, I guess there's a lot of people who are doing it, but I just never thought about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so good question.
The next question is again from Ryan Williams. How quick or fast do you think that these rear-engine, rear-wheel drive door cars can go before they become too unsafe to drive?
I don't think there's a limit. If I did, I wouldn't be trying to do what I'm doing with Rapture. There's plenty of alternative shape cars going really fast. I think it's about how you set it up. And I think it's about the weight, where you put the weight in the car. Yeah, our cars have a lot of weight in the back, which gives them a lot more traction. But then in the front, if you don't balance the car out right, yeah, it's going to be a handful. So it's more about the shape, really, than the fact that it's rear engine. You know, it's one of my good buddy roommates described because he was a bicycle racer, he described a Volkswagen like a bicycle helmet. It's just round. And it's like a bumper car at the fair. You know, there's no rudder. There's nothing telling it to go straight. So at any point in time, it's just at the will or the whim of whatever traction it has on the ground with the four wheels. So I think it's more about the shape than it is about the fact that it's rear engine. But the fact that it is rear engine does make it a little more temperamental and harder to set up. And if you're a V8 guy and you're trying to set up a Volkswagen, you're using scales and you're doing all kinds of stuff, usually those guys get lost in what it's all about. And yeah. You got to have as much weight in the front as you possibly can. It's really more about the shape of the car in some regards. But yeah, if you do the weight right, I think it's plenty fine. So, and again, I tell you what, we're going to find out, I think, real quick here in the next year, how fast these things can really go. And I don't know. It's going to be quite interesting to see. So yeah, stay tuned.
All right. The next question is again from Bren Hartman. Are any of your boys interested in VWs? And are any of them going to work full-time at RLR?
Well, are you?
That's something that I can answer. As for being interested in VWs, my brother drives a Carmen Ghia. I don't know what year it is.
69.
69 Carmen Ghia. So I would say he's interested in VWs. As for myself, not as much. I drive a 1988 Honda CRX, so I'm more into import cars than, Eastern import cars than Western import cars. As for working full-time at RLR, right now I'm working part-time with my dad at his shop. But as of right now, I just graduated from Boise State University. I'm back home now. But right after graduating from college, I started my own business with my friend where we're trying to make sense of post-grad life and trying to make our mark on the world right now. So as for right now, I'm just working part-time. But we're working with my dad and helping him out around the shop, getting all the parts made for the summer season where everybody wants to get out and drive their cars around. I'm more than glad to help him out right now with helping just to do the menial stuff of grinding mill scale off the metals and prepping the parts for the welder and just getting everything ready to be shipped out the door.
Yeah, that's a good answer. My other son, Joe, same. He's in college still, playing football on partial scholarship. Each time one of my kids graduates from college, I feel the lift on my pocketbook, and that's a good feeling. So, but to have him back here at home and working with me every day, it's a pretty cool feeling. It's not every day. He's part-time because he wants to kind of get his legs under him and do some cool stuff. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen to RLR when I decide to hang up my hat. When I go like this for the last time, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I guess ultimately, in one regard, the question is about my boys. So the answer is no. They're not going to take over RLR, at least not as we can foresee now. So, but there are some parts of the product line that probably I think are worth something to somebody, and those may go on the chopping block. So we'll see. I don't know. It's a little bit of ways away, and you never know. But if anybody's got any ideas, I may be dangerous for suggesting this, but if you got ideas, let me know what they are. If they're that crazy, just private message me. Don't don't come up with some kooky ideas on your own and blast them out. So anyways, I'm just having fun. When it stops being fun, then I'm going to do what I need to do. But for right now, happy to have my son here. And when my other son comes home from college, he works with me. And yeah, we're just having a good time. So.
All right, next question is from Steve Bartholomew. When will Rapture be hitting the track? Will it be a turbo car? And if so, will it chase the VW record?
Well, yes, yes, and yes. So it will hit the track this year, unless something stops me. It will chase the record because to me, that's what it's all about. There's no sense in building a heads-up car like that if you're not going to try to break, bend, or destroy records. Because in the end, I mean, there's no money in this deal. It's not like you're going to get rich doing this deal. But I tell you build a lifelong set of memories that are pretty cool. And in the people, it's always about the people. It's the people you get to hang out with and the people you get to do it with are what make it. And the road trips back and forth and the discussions. And, it's always hard. People ask me, I want to build an off-road car, or, you're in the car for hours and hours, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. Everybody's got their deal. But I can tell you what, you do all that work and spend all that time, effort, money, and it all comes down to, in this regard, with 8th Mile, it's going to be 4.5 seconds. Let's just say somewhere in that zone. It all comes down to 4.5 seconds. And you got to cram all of that you did into 4.5 seconds. And that's pretty intense. So that intensity level, that sizzle for that 4.5, that heartbeat, that insanity for that 4.5 seconds, or if you took it to the quarter mile, somewhere in the middle, 7 seconds, that capturing all of that and shoving it into that compressed time span, that's pretty exhilarating. And because I don't fly fighter jets, that's what I got to do. I got to do Volkswagen race cars. So anyways, yeah. So yeah, it will come out this year. Yes, I do believe it will be a very fast car. And yes, I believe we're going to be chasing and setting some records. So at least I hope that's what happens. That's always the plan. Of course, everybody has the same plan. And then you meet those same guys at the track for that 4.5 seconds I was talking about. So we'll see. Thanks for the question.
This next question is from Gary Calvert. Ladder bar and shock settings. That's it.
Okay.
I guess he's probably asking suggestions for what are the optimal settings for.
Yeah. So if we're talking about my ladder bars and my shocks on one of my cars with my mounts, basically the way that I set my suspension up with ladder bars, which is the legacy stuff that I've been doing forever, is the ladder bar front position hole is at worst or at highest supposed to be the same level as the axle center line. So you're never supposed to raise the ladder bar up above that axle center line. It's always down, and then my ladder bars, I have 3 position holes: the top, the middle, and the bottom. I always set it up in the middle, and then a guy can go down or he can go up. And basically, with that, the ladder bar there's no rotation force on the ladder bar like a Camaro. So it just simply pushes the car forward. And wherever it pushes from, if it's pushing down, it's pushing down. If it's pushing straight, it's pushing straight. That's why you don't want it up, because then it would try to make the car launch off the ground. And in fact, I've seen cars that have done that when people build their own stuff and it tries to shove the car off the ground. It's a pretty violent deal. So we've opted to make it go, and it works really good where when you lower that ladder bar down 28, 32 inches and you shove it down, it makes the whole car go into a downward position. And then with the springs and the shocks, they hold it up. As far as the shock settings, when I set up my cars, if I set up my cars and basically if the axles are level, like if I was making the shock mounts on top, so the axle's level, I would basically drop the tires 1 inch down from level, and then I would fasten my top shock mounts. Once you statically mount those top shock mounts, then you have 1 inch of droop at full decelerate. So when you get off the gas on the top end, it can only transfer 1 inch up, but the rest of it's down. So you have the rest of the down travel level, and then only 1 inch before the wheels would come off the ground. So that's typically how I've done it over the years. And oddly enough, it hasn't changed since I started. That's the way I started in the beginning. I've had everybody and their sister under the sun try different techniques and try different ideas, 4 links, 5 links, this link, that link. And I've never, to be honest with you, seen yet one that would outdo just the regular garden variety stuff that we were doing in the late 80s. It just works. It's tried and true. So yeah, those are all great questions. Was it the last one?
No, there's one more.
One more question. Last question.
Question from Dustin Clark. What is your favorite Bible verse?
I saw this in the deal. Dustin Clark, he's the guy, that's my marketing guy / video guy that did all the filming with Tyler on the how to build a Rapture deal. I guess my favorite Bible verse is Genesis 1:1, because it simply states, "In the beginning, God." And if a person can get their head and their heart wrapped around that deal, the rest of the Bible is just a marvelous thing. It's wonderful. So yeah, Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God, because after that, it's all, it's all Jesus anyways, really, to be honest, though. I didn't know that before I met him, and then he met me, and then he changed my life. So, and that's why I'm here. But yeah, Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Hey, thanks guys for all your questions. We'll do this more and more, and we'll get our, almost like a podcast environment up and running. It's about halfway there. We brought a ton of the stuff that I had for years, posters, pictures, different things, and we brought them, and we basically took and put them in the, but as far as that, we should have our podcast environment up, and we'll, switch off from my customer's car here to a more of a professional background and environment. So, and again, we're having fun doing this, and we want to keep doing it. And so we're kind of like feeding off your comments, and we're feeding off of your energy and your questions, and quite frankly, your orders. And, I can't thank you enough for trusting in RLR to deliver and to bring to you some of the coolest stuff. And that's all we've been trying to do, is just try to have fun, try to answer questions, be there, answer our phone, answer our email, and just do the right thing. Do the best we can. We don't always knock it out of the park. It's not a home run every time we step up to the plate, but we try every day. So yeah, thank you for your questions. Hopefully this was fun. We'll see what Dustin does with the editing, and if he's going to bring some cool guitar music on it or some kind of crazy deal. I don't know. We'll see what he's got in mind. So anyways, you guys be good. If you have any other questions, you can private message me, or we'll just keep this deal going. So hey, peace. You guys have fun. Be safe. Fun to drive.